Tires scream as the convoy brakes too late, metal scraping stone while alarms echo from unseen towers. Doors unlock automatically, trapping everyone between engines and ocean wind. A gate slams shut behind them without warning, cutting off retreat. Cameras swivel, tracking every movement with quiet precision. They're rushed forward, urgency replacing explanation, as salt mist burns their lungs. Someone whispers that this wasn't the plan. The tension breaks into silence when the doors open to impossible luxury. Glass walls reveal a mansion that feels staged, like a reward delivered too fast. No contracts are explained, no rules stated, only keys pressed into open palms. The quiet feels rehearsed. Outside, identical houses line the cliffs, repeating into the distance. The pattern suggests selection, not chance. Night brings motion beneath the calm, vehicles gliding silently between homes. Curtains flutter as if the buildings themselves are breathing. Morning arrives with an unannounced visitor who knows their names already. His smile never reaches his eyes. He congratulates them on acceptance before mentioning risk, as if danger were a formality. The word withdrawal is never offered. A briefing summons them underground, descending faster than comfort allows. The air cools with every level. Screens ignite with projections of collapse, scarcity, and timelines running out. Hope is framed as an emergency measure. The proposal arrives without apology, survival through alteration, bodies change to fit a hostile world. Silence follows, heavy and enforced. Objections are acknowledged but absorbed, redirected into urgency. Time, they're told, is the enemy. Access cards are reassigned, now glowing with new permissions. The shift feels irreversible. The first injections come quickly, delivered before doubts can settle. A burning spreads under the skin, unfamiliar and wrong. Back home, celebration is encouraged, almost mandated. Laughter sounds brittle against the hum of hidden systems. As night deepens, the heat inside one body spikes without warning. The luxury suddenly feels like insulation for a problem no one will name. Cooling systems fail to help, and ice becomes the only relief. Pain gives way to something closer to numbness. Outside, lights blink along the compound in synchronized patterns. Observation never sleeps here. By dawn, the heat is gone, replaced by a cold that doesn't hurt anymore. Whatever was injected is already rewriting the rules. Training begins without ceremony, bodies herded into water before minds can object. Time stretches unnaturally as lungs refuse to panic. Minutes pass, then more, and the surface feels optional. Observers exchange glances they don't explain. When others finally surface gasping, one body keeps moving below, smooth and deliberate. Applause erupts too quickly. That night, sleep fractures into vivid sensory overload. Darkness no longer feels empty. Skin sensitivity shifts, nerves briefly visible beneath the surface before retreating. No one else reacts, as if it never happened. Reassurances come packaged as medical jargon, delivered with practiced calm. Trust is framed as compliance. The exercises intensify, air replaced with heavier mixtures that burn on entry. Breathing becomes mechanical. Days blur into endurance, bodies adapting faster than protocols can explain. Fatigue stops behaving normally. Hair collects in drains and on hands, dismissed as stress responses. No one laughs anymore. The first collapse happens without warning, blood breaking the illusion of control. The room freezes. Explanations arrive too fast, diagnoses too convenient. The body is removed before grief can settle. That night, voices rise inside the mansions, fear finally escaping containment. Walls listen quietly. Aggression flares suddenly, disproportionate and violent, ending only when restraints arrive. The changes aren't just physical. Morning brings official calm, scripted sympathy, and a return to schedule. Stopping is never mentioned. Private tests reveal compounds never listed in the manuals. The gap between promise and reality widens. At night, walls pulse faintly with embedded sensors. Privacy dissolves completely. Skin begins to shed in thin translucent layers, floating briefly before dissolving. Panic is swallowed back down. A new surgery is announced as an upgrade, not a correction. Consent feels ceremonial. Sight changes first, darkness losing its authority. Shadows rearrange themselves into detail. The improvement turns violent as blood follows, uncontrolled and frighteningly bright. Alarms finally sound. Confrontation changes nothing, authority deflects responsibility upward and outward. The system protects itself. Military vehicles arrive unannounced, presence heavy and final. Someone doesn't leave alive. A body hits stone hard enough to echo, proof that instability now carries lethal consequences. Silence follows. Unauthorized access becomes the only option left. Doors open where they shouldn't. Files contradict every reassurance given so far. The experiment was never controlled. External oversight arrives too late, ethics weaponized as threat rather than protection. The response is delay. Privately, the truth surfaces, reversal is impossible. The changes are becoming something else entirely. Enhanced perception sharpens, revealing details no human should register. Distance loses meaning. Only two remain alive, altered beyond recognition, breathing without effort. The room smells of antiseptic and fear. Communication fails in expected ways, succeeds in unfamiliar ones. Sound no longer. Strength surges unpredictably, control lagging behind instinct. Damage happens before restraint. Another altered survivor arrives violently, pursued and restrained with chemical force. The threat is internal now. Sedation fails where obedience was assumed. Resistance escalates instantly. Containment replaces care, glass cells sealing the outcome. The future is narrow to logistics. A solution is proposed that erases memory instead of damage. Mercy reframed as necessity. Consent arrives through trembling hands, choice stripped of alternatives. Trust breaks silently. The reaction isn't what anyone expects. Consciousness lingers, watching. Escape unfolds with brutal efficiency, pathways mapped by enhanced senses. The facility fails to keep up. Reunion happens under flashing alarms, brief and fragile. Soldiers close in from every direction. Weapons raise in unison, hesitation lasting only a breath. Orders come fast, stripping the moment of humanity. Movement answers before thought, bodies hitting walls with crushing force. Training never accounted for this speed. A shouted plea cuts through the chaos, stopping the violence mid-motion. Control returns, fragile but real. Containment teams regroup, switching tactics from force to persuasion. The goal shifts to extraction. Inside reinforced glass, isolation replaces adrenaline. Silence presses harder than restraints. The explanation finally arrives, stripped of optimism. Survival now belongs somewhere else. A choice is presented that isn't one: stay and deteriorate, or leave everything behind. Preparation begins immediately, logistics overtaking emotion. Timetables replace conversations. The altered body reacts violently to confinement, strength testing every boundary. Glass holds, barely. A final request is granted, one last meeting without restraints. Risk is accepted as necessary. The reunion is quiet, heavy with recognition and distance. What remains is familiarity, not normalcy. Attempts at reassurance fail, words losing relevance. The future has narrowed to necessity. Outside, transport vehicles arrive under heavy guard. Departure becomes unavoidable. Sedation is prepared as protocol, efficiency overriding sentiment. Resistance is anticipated. The injection lands, body tensing before yielding. Consciousness slips without surrender. Inside darkness, perception persists, tracking movement and intent. Escape is no longer needed. Authority fractures as investigations accelerate above ground. Blame seeks a single name. Control of the facility changes hands overnight. Silence replaces ambition. Transport reaches the launch site, where the atmosphere feels thinner already. The destination waits. No ceremony marks the send-off, only procedures executed cleanly. Humanity watches from a distance. Acceleration crushes sound and memory together. Earth recedes without acknowledgement. Systems adjust automatically, calibrating to a body no longer human standard. The fit is perfect. Distance erases delay, months compressing into silent transit. Survival becomes routine. Arrival brings cold beyond measurement, atmosphere hostile to memory. The body responds instinctively. Breathing stabilizes where it shouldn't, lungs adapting without hesitation. The experiment's end proves its point. Movement feels effortless, gravity negotiated rather than obeyed. The environment accepts him. Back on Earth, arrests follow hearings, ambition finally punished. The cost remains unpaid. Leadership shifts to those who understand the damage done. Oversight replaces secrecy. Nights are quieter now, skies watched with different understanding. Distance feels personal. On the far surface, the altered body tests limits one final time. The air holds. Adaptation completes itself quietly, no witnesses required. Survival is no longer theoretical. The last tether to Earth fades, memory replaced by function. Purpose remains. Back home, the program is archived, labeled success and warning in equal measure. Silence settles over the compound, luxury emptied of meaning. The experiment is over. Far away, survival becomes routine, exploration cautious but steady. A new baseline forms. The cost is acknowledged at last, humanity lives, but not unchanged. The line was crossed. No message travels between worlds, none needed. Survival speaks for itself. The experiment subject becomes its proof, alone but alive. The outcome is undeniable. Earth fades into memory, relevance shifting permanently outward. Humanity's future changes direction. The transformation is complete, irreversible, and effective. Survival has a new form. Weeks pass without incident, stability replacing crisis. The environment no longer threatens. Systems built for observation become tools for expansion. The mission shifts from survival to settlement. Back home, reports circulate quietly, classified but influential. Policy bends around precedent. Public narratives soften the truth, framing sacrifice as progress. The cost remains personal. Isolation sharpens focus, stripping life to essentials. Purpose endures without company. Adaptation expresses itself fully now, movement unhindered by environment. The body belongs here. Earth's nights feel quieter, hope complicated but real. The future exists somewhere else. The program's failure and success merge into one lesson. Survival demanded change. Distance no longer equals loss, only difference. Humanity expands its definition. No return is planned, none required. The choice was already made. The experiment's shadow lingers, shaping policy and fear. Progress slows, but doesn't stop. Survival is proven beyond doubt. Ethics arrive too late to undo it. Life continues, reshaped but intact. Humanity adapts by example, not consensus. Memory fades where function dominates. Survival becomes ordinary. Earth watches quietly, knowing the line cannot be uncrossed. The future is shared. The outcome stands clear, survival achieved through irreversible change. The cost is permanent. No rescue, no regret, only continuation. Humanity moves forward altered. The experiment ends where survival begins. Proof replaces theory. Earth and distance coexist, connected by consequence. The future holds. Humanity survives, changed forever, with the debt fully paid. The story ends where adaptation succeeds.